Welcome to Business Innovators Radio, featuring industry influencers and trendsetters sharing proven strategies to help you build a better life right now.
Well, hello and welcome to this episode of the show. This is Mike Saunders with Marketing Huddle, and today we're privileged to have with us Nicole Rodrigues with NRPR Group. Welcome to the show, Nicole.
Hello. Thanks so much for having me. It's great to be here.
Hey, well, thanks for coming on. And before I ask about yourself and your background and your business, I do see and saw some press about a recent award that you guys won. So why don't you integrate that in with the introduction about your business and how you got started?
Awesome. So, we just actually got named New Agency of the Year from Bulldog Reporter's Stars of PR Awards. So, every year they have a couple of different awards that they focus on, and their Stars of PR awards were announced, I guess, just a few weeks ago, and we were named New Agency of the Year, and I think that's really awesome because that's national recognition. It's not just in a city or anything like that, so it's really a testament to, how we are trying to do things and sort of up-level the game when it comes to the new ways that people are doing PR. And it's awesome. So it finally got mailed to us so we can hang it up in the office with pride and, I guess give us motivation to keep on going.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. And I wonder, when you're explaining that, did you know early in the process, like months ago, or did you apply for that, or was it something you were striving for throughout the year?
Well, we actually applied for it, so they had a call for agencies to, send in their good work. And the cool thing about Bulldog Reporter is the people who are voting are actually really, really amazing members of the media and people who, PR people work with every day. I think a lot of people in our profession forget that at the other end of what we do, without the media, we really don't have jobs. Our job is to be here to serve them, and also, of course, in the meantime, to get our clients great coverage. But at the end of the day, the media are here to share the news, and if we can create really great ways to make relationships with these people and help them do their job even better than they're already doing, then we become a resource. And when we become a resource, it becomes that much easier to find out what it is they need in order to get a great story so that we can make sure that we're getting them what they want and not just bombarding them with random press releases that they'll never use. And I think that's
and I would suspect that, am I close to being correct in this assumption? A PR agency submitting a potential story to the media, and the media viewing that potential story is somewhat like a teacher who's grading a bunch of papers, and they know the good students that do it right, so they want to get to them right away so they can just boom, 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 get right through them. And then the ones that are just the slackers, we're going to save that when I got some more energy to deal with it. Well, isn't it true that some media look at some submissions and go, this is going to be all messed up, but this one is submitted by this agency, let me take a peek at that. So you kind of create that reputation based on good quality work.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, look, and that's where I think it really starts from the top down. If you are a leader in an agency or mid to senior management, your job is to make sure that anyone in the agency understands best practices. And if you're just sending people out and saying, hey, go figure it out, guess what? Your email, that handle is attached to every person's pitch. And if people start seeing at, Sarah at blah, blah, blah agency, and it's Sarah and then James and Mark and all of these people sending terrible, non-well thought out pitches to the media, even if Lindsay comes in and has an amazingly stellar pitch, she might not get looked at because people are looking at that handle and saying, "Oh, anything coming from that agency has got to be garbage."
Or they might have even quit looking at the handle because they set up an Outlook rule that says anything from this domain put right into trash.
And believe me, there have been members of the media who are good friends of mine who have said that they've done that. And that is something that when we started NRPR about think we're about 19 months old now. 19 going on 20. So not quite 2 years. That was something that I wanted to put in place, meaning really great best practices for emails. There has literally in almost 2 years, never once an email blast ever left an email from any one of my employees. Not one.
So with that one point right there, when you started 19 months ago, and you knew that was a potential issue in the industry, and you wanted to not be part of that crowd and go against the grain, what was one thing that you set out to do to figure out how to not land in the junk or how to be perceived as a credible source? What's one thought or one strategy that you made sure that you focused on to accomplish that?
Literally asking reporters what they prefer and how they prefer it.
Were they freaked out when you asked that?
15 years. What was that?
Were they freaked out when you would actually ask that and then delivered on that?
Not at all. It's human. It's really, it's being human. It's saying, look, I want to make a great relationship work with you. I like what you're doing. I think that what you're doing could potentially be not only of benefit to my clients, but of course of your readers if my clients have anything good to share. So talk to me. What is it that you need, and how do you prefer to get pitches, all of these things. And these are notes, too, that I'd gathered through the years in my profession, and then just started putting those practices into play and then teaching every person who joined my team how to do that. It's like, look, if you could send 4 solid pitches a day to, these reporters that, one, includes a reference to something that they've done to make them feel like you've read their stuff. 2, helps you sort of formulate a story for them, saying, look, I think this might be the angle. If not, what else do you think? Throwing that out there, and then it becomes dialogue. It doesn't become you talking at them, and we put that into play. And that is how we operate with pitching, and it's working. And a lot of our employees, including junior employees who are new to the profession, are creating great relationships with media because they're doing it right.
Yeah, that's a really good point, is number 1, asking, and then number 2, listening, and then all of that goes out the window if you don't do number 3, which is actually taking action and implementing it. Because you could get it right to the goal line, per se, and ask and get the information and figure out what they want, and then if you don't do it, if you went to that reporter and they said, yeah, we prefer a pitch to be whatever, and you don't do that, then they're rolling their eyes going, well, what good was that?
Exactly. Were you not listening to me? Why did I even waste my time sharing? Absolutely.
Yeah. So, 19 months old. This is not your first career. What led you to PR as a career? What was the moment in time that you're like, these things are aligning, or I'm seeing this as an opportunity, or this door got open? What was that catalyst to move you into PR as a career?
Oh, no, PR has been my career since college. It's actually been my calling since I always tell people like 12 years old. No joke. I went to school and my major was PR. I took it very seriously. I think I love the strategic aspect of it. So it's not, I know there are some people that drift towards it later in their careers for whatever reasons, but I really feel blessed that from day one, I declared my major my sophomore year and never looked back. PR has been my thing ever since then, and I love it. I love even the hard days. I love the strategy. I love the writing, and I love building relationships and thinking about stories and really helping to place clients and I guess the companies that I've worked for in the places that they want to be by strategically positioning them through third parties, saying awesome things and doing all of that. So no, PR has definitely been my baby. In the interim, I was also a professional cheerleader, so that could have been but I was doing both. I actually was an NFL cheerleader for the Raiders, and I was also in their PR department. So I got to live the best of both worlds, yeah. Yeah,
really. But 19 months ago, you started your own agency when you were working for other agencies. Was that a hard decision? Was that hard to kind of go, ooh, I'm working for a company, but I've got this drive to be an entrepreneur? How did that look?
Oh, sure. So I think in college I had a vision, but I never knew how it would ever happen or if it would ever happen. But I knew that I wanted to make a mark on the industry. I didn't want to just be a practitioner in the field. I wanted to be someone that was, respected and listened to, because I love this profession so much that it's almost like my mission was to help grow affinity for it. And it wasn't until I hit 13 years in the industry, I'd worked my way up. I wanted to make sure I mastered every level from, intern to account coordinator to, account executive to, supervisor, director, all the way through, to make sure that I understood what it took at each level to be great. And once I knew what that meant, I knew that I'd be able to hire the right people to sort of match what that looks like, and along the way I was taking mental notes. Bosses who motivated me, bosses who didn't, employees or even coworkers that were doing it wrong, or maybe they were doing it right. And I was mentally taking notes, thinking eventually one day my dream firm is going to open and I'm going to know how to hire, how to train, and how to make sure I retain the right talent. So at 13 years, I was vice president of digital entertainment for a very large agency. And I think I had my Jerry Maguire moment. And I was ready to just kind of step away and figure out how I was going to make change in the industry. And I was going to sort of change people's opinions. I was always told you'll never have an agency where you're going to like all of the clients, and you're never going to have an agency where everyone is good. And I was like, oh, you just said that I couldn't, so guess who's going to go and do that?
Yeah, that never word is kind of a big stretch.
Yeah.
So
exactly.
With your group, with your agency, what is different because obviously you have a competitor or two in your probably down the street, probably in your city. I mean, the PR is quite the competitive field. So what makes you stand out and different from your traditional, typical competitor? Because your last client you picked up certainly either had someone or had talked to someone before they chose you. So why did they choose you?
Sure, that's a great question. So that is one of the things that makes us stand out is one of the reasons why I call us a strategic positioning firm. I don't just call us a PR firm, because if we're thinking about PR, traditionally that's media relations. Media relations as it stands and is a dying sort of thing. Just strictly media relations, without thinking about how that fits in social media, without thinking about how digital media and your own content creation works to make that better, or to allow media to understand your story, to then sort of regurgitate that out properly. You need to be properly positioned. And nowadays, whether you're B2B or B2C, everyone can go to your website. They can find you, or they expect to find you in social media. And then when you're getting traditional media hits, all of that stuff should be working together. It's a brand new ecosystem, which is why we call ourselves a positioning agency, because we're going to position you through all of those tools so that anyone looking anywhere for you and doing that awesome Google search that they all do will understand what you do, who you do it for, why you do it, what problems you solve. That's why I think a lot of companies see that we get it. They see that we can work well with their entire marketing organization and not just, let's just get you some hits just to get you some hits. That's not a strategy anymore. We want to get you strategic media placement so that you can go out and get that funding that you want, or so that you can use that in your sales pitches to, build more trust and for people to see that you're a key player or a visionary in your field. So we peel the layers of the onion way, way back, and I think that stems from my background, definitely in PR, but I did have a stint as a director of marketing at a company called Demand Media, where I pulled all of that stuff together because I was in the marketing department and kind of had to see how media relations was a part of it, but everything else had to play together in order for it to work.
Yeah, kind of like a shotgun approach as opposed to a laser-targeted, rifle shot approach. Not spray and pray, but a strategy. And I think that's where too many people just go ready, fire, aim, and they're just firing all over the place when in fact they ought to be ready, aim, 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 and then fire.
After it's just, you have to be strategic with everything. And I think sometimes, especially if you're new, you definitely want to go out and go after anyone who's going to listen to your story. And that's one thing that I tell CEOs who are, 3 months into their startup and they're like, well, how do you get us into Forbes? I'm like, well, you earn your way into Forbes.
Yep.
You got to earn that. So here's what we do. Anybody that wants to talk to you that is relevant in your field, that will let you say what you want to say and hear you out and tell that story well, guess what? You talk to them. You be your own leader.
Isn't it kind of like, how do you eat an elephant one bite at a time? And it reminds me of, have you ever, I forget where I heard this, maybe Tim Ferriss book or blog, but or maybe it's just like a social media story out there, but I know I understand that it's true. Someone took a paper clip and traded it all the way up to owning a house, meaning they traded it for this piece of art, and then I traded this piece of art for and they did it as a methodical strategy to see how much value they could get out of this small little thing. And if I remember correctly, it's a paperclip. Well, in your example, you don't get to Forbes tomorrow morning just because you hung your shingle for starting your own business. You get to Forbes that's the end result. Stephen Covey said, start with the end in mind. Well, if that's the end, what regional publication can I get in and provide some value to? How can I serve this other regional publication? And then that person parlays you into the next one, and then the next one, and then ultimately you've earned the right to be able to pitch to some of those other ones.
100%. 100%. And really
drop the
understanding the criteria. Yeah, boom. All right, interview done.
Yeah, really. Thank you for coming.
So, no, you definitely hit it there. That's exactly.
Yeah, but you know what? Yeah, hit it. That's exactly right. But if a CEO was listening to that, go figure that out. So yeah, I understand the concept and the strategy behind it, but I'm running a company. I don't know how to do that. So that leads then into the point of, how does a company, a CEO like that startup or not, how do they set aside a budget for public relations and not view it as an expense, but view it as an investment so that they can get to those stair-step strategic strategy?
A great question. I mean, it really depends on business goals. Honestly, everybody is different. I really think that depending on what your business goals are, before you get to a strategy for figuring out where you want coverage or who you want people, who you want paying attention to you, what exactly do you want to do with your business? What are the key things that you are planning to do? Are there milestones that we can, hopefully influence, right? If we take a look at 6 months, and if your end result is to be deployed on 1 billion devices and you're an app, well, then we have to take a look at what key places do you want to be covered in that lead to downloads that people read and trust, right? So they'll want to download it, and maybe that's TechCrunch, and that's going to be hard for you to get there. But then, what smaller blogs or what other outlets will hear you out, will talk about your story, will validate some of your momentum so that you can take that and then pitch the TechCrunches of the world and say, we've done this, this, and this. We're now on, 500,000 devices in the world. We're going to hit 1 million soon, but we want to talk to you about some of that momentum. Here are a couple of our recent announcements. Let's build a relationship so that by the time we hit 1 million, or maybe we're super close, you can help be a part of that, and we'll give you that story early. So it's one of those things where you really have to map whatever your business goals are, figure out what media to hit in the interim as you build, and then get there, if that makes sense.
And I totally agree, and I think that they have to realize the validity of the strategy in this sense. They could go post ads on Craigslist for free themselves.
Sure.
But where's that going to get them? So they have to understand the validity of getting media mentions, of getting that publicity, of getting that notoriety and authority positioning, so that their potential prospects and clients, and in one sense, it really doesn't matter what publication you're in, and someone might not have read that publication and picked up the phone and called you, but being in that publication on that day and time about that topic gives you the ability to have a little bit of a brag sheet, or a brag book, or news on your website link. And now when prospective clients are coming to you and you're talking to them, that's a wonderful way to warm them up to what you're going to talk to them about, to say, oh, hey, here's some of our recent media mentions. Well, that person might be talking to 2 or 3 of your competitors, and they weren't mentioned in the media, but you were. So I think that being able to understand that and realize that probably if you said what you just did and showed them some things they could do, they could probably physically actually do it themselves, as with a lot of social media things or marketing things. But who has the time to do it, and who has the expertise to put it into a cohesive, strategy? The CEO's running his company. The business owners running their company. That's when they need to look to outside sources like what your agency provides.
Oh, I agree. And I've talked to so many CEOs that are like, well, I can do this myself. And I'm like, well, so can I. I run a marketing positioning agency. And guess what? I know how to tweet. I know how. When I started the company, it was just me. I ran the social media channels. Yep. But how effective am I as a boss, as a leader, as a business owner, if I'm the one doing the tweeting? Please.
And secondly, you're not doing it now.
Right.
The guy says to you, well, I could do that. Well, how come you're not? Because I look back for the last 6 months, you're not doing it. So, yeah, you can, and it's not that hard, but it's not being done, and it's not being done consistently. Oh, yeah, that one tweet you sent the month before last, saying Happy New Year, that exactly doesn't count. So I think that, I've heard so many people about, social media as an example, or public relations. You don't want to do it just once. Just being mentioned one time it's that consistency and that momentum, and then it kind of gains critical mass.
I agree. And I think one of our really awesome clients we've been working with 6 months now, a little over 6 months, HelpShift, is a great testament to that. So they got an awesome round of funding back in 2014. Great coverage from TechCrunch, great coverage from VentureBeat. All the people who like to hear about the millions that you're raising gave them awesome accolades. Like it was great, right? So that was done. And then all of a sudden it got quiet. And I think, thankfully the executives there, who are just amazing, they came to us and they were like, look, we got this push back in 2014. That kind of died out. So what do we do? And we got to come in and say, we can revive this, no problem. Honestly, you've already got a good start, but it's been almost a year. Media don't just know to cover you by accident. You have to stay in front of them, even if it's just little momentum things that you're sharing. And so we came in with the strategy like, okay, well, I'm sure you guys have done a lot in a year. Talk to us about what's the next big thing we can talk about to catch these people, bring them up to speed, and then stay on their radar. Do not disappear. So we developed, a momentum announcement to announce that since they got their funding almost a year ago, they grew by 500%, and then we're on 1 billion devices worldwide. That's a big deal. So we were able to make that announcement. They got some great coverage, sort of warmed up some more relationships, some people that they didn't know. And now the strategy is, look, we have to stay in front of these people. It's like dating someone and then going away for 6 months. You can't do that, right? You want to stay in their good graces. Then you keep them up to speed on what's going on with your company. And even if it's not something earth-shattering and something they can cover right away, guess what? They don't forget about you. So that's sort of what we're doing and what we've done for them, and it's awesome. They actually just had a great announcement today, and I'm so proud. And VentureBeat, who loves them, who has a great relationship with them, we gave them a heads up on the news. They wrote a great story today that's already been picked up by others, and it's like a visual example of why relationships matter and why staying in front of the media has to be consistent.
I agree 100%, and we could probably talk about 10 more case studies and 3 hours more of strategy and still not even scratch the surface. So let's go ahead and mention how can people get in touch with you to learn more, to investigate a little bit more about how your agency can help them.
Okay, sorry. Repeat the question so I make sure I answer it properly.
I was just saying that we could keep on talking forever and ever, but let's go ahead and land the plane and let the listeners know how they can reach you and learn more about you. What's the best website address, that type of thing.
Oh, great. Okay, I wasn't sure. I was like, am I giving them the approach, like what they need in order to be ready for us? Got it. So you can find our company on the web, of course, NRPRGroup.com. And anyone can email me directly. I love emails. Nicole, Nicole, at NRPRGroup.com. And I would recommend CCing info at NRPRGroup.com so that just in case your email gets lost in the abyss, it happens, that there's a backup and someone always looking there. And then across social media at NRPR Group, you can find out all of the awesome things that we're doing. Connect with us, chat with us, follow us. We'll do the same back. So at NRPR Group, Twitter, Instagram, Pinterest, Facebook, you name it, that's where we're at. So come and find us.
Excellent. Well, super. Thank you for your time. It was great to get to know you and your business and your approach, and really brought up some wonderful points. So thank you for your time today.
Sure. No, I really appreciate it, and thank you so much.
Super.
Thanks for listening to Business Innovators Radio. To hear all episodes featuring leading industry influencers and trendsetters, visit us online at businessinnovatorsradio.com today.